My friends, made a little progress since yesterday. We'll tell you about that right after this. Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. It is Tuesday, March 28th. Tuesday means that we'll be playing this evening at Dickey's Barbecue Pit in Rolla, Missouri. So come out and join us if you can. I mentioned yesterday that we were having visitors bringing instruments yesterday, and I was completely wrong. I said they were coming yesterday and tonight. Well, that's next week. Got the calendar mixed up there a little bit. My wife had mentioned that that's when it was happening, and I thought that sounded funny, but I went ahead and went with it. And then I guess about the time I was making the video, she was texting me and saying she had that all wrong. So I get confused easily. I thought that seemed a little early, especially since we have my daughter and her friends here at the farm still. Oh well, I don't add up everything as I'm going along. I just make the videos and keep moving, you know. Well, I did get the mandolin finished yesterday. That one was fairly straightforward. Only took maybe a little over an hour or so to get that thing all set up and get it real good and playable. We'll probably have a short video on that this weekend. The banjo, on the other hand, became a little bit more of a project. It's not real hard. It's going out of tune. And the first problem is these three tuning keys, the one here on the 5th string and these two here, are all split and broken, and they are held by friction. And so in other words, you put the screw in, and that tightening that screw causes the friction to tighten. But because the screws have been tightened probably too tight, the plastic is all cracked and the friction no longer works, and that's why it's going out of tune, in my opinion. So I've ordered new tuner buttons for this, and I'm hoping they'll work, and we'll get those in. By the way, the keys up here have been replaced. These are detuner keys. You can see up here, these are got the fancy deal where you can tune while you're playing. You know, it's that that classic sound that you would hear from like Earl Scruggs or someone. Well, anyway, those keys are fine because they're, you know, a higher quality, etc. So I ordered keys that actually match these a little bit closer. At least I hope they do. They look like it in the picture. I ordered them from StewMac. And so those will be here in a few days, and we'll finish that part of the project up. I was also noticing while I was working on it that this nut is chewed up really bad across there. I think you can see some of that. It's pretty chowdered up. So anyway, I'm going to make a new nut for it today. I'll get that ready. And while I've got the strings off of it, I'm going to check the neck, because he suspected that the neck was loose and that's what caused the tuning. But I'm pretty positive it's these plastic keys. They were all three broken, and if they're broken, they can't hold tune, not very well at all. So if you're having trouble with your banjo and it's got these friction type keys like this, that little screw in the end is really what gives you your friction. I went ahead and CA glued these, but quite honestly, I don't expect that to hold. I mean, if the force broke them once, it'll break them again, you know. That's the sad tale on the banjo. So we'll get that fixed up here in a day or so. That means that I'm just down to, you know, 1.5 instruments. I still got that one instrument that was kind of pushed on me, the guitar. And I've got to finish up this one, and then I'll be on my hiatus from working on instruments for a while. Had a little bit of time yesterday before we all went out to dinner, so I went out and did a little bit of metal detecting, and I found a very old suspender clasp or lasp or something. Anyway, it's pretty old. It's fairly ornate. You can see there's some detail on it. I would say for sure this is from the 1800s. This is my first ever, and I've never even found one of these anywhere else, is a flat button. It's a metal flat button. It's got a little tiny bit of silver left on it. You can see it there in the corner, I think. And the shank is still there. It's just been flattened out. My guess is this is not as old as the flat buttons they find on the East Coast by a long stretch. It's not nearly that old. But I would say this is mid-1800s, if not early 1800s. It's pretty old, I think. But that's the first ever flat button I've ever found. That's about all the news I have for today. It's going to be short. If you're in the area and can make it to Dickey's Barbecue Pit this evening, well, we'll be there. So we would love to see you. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.